They can't get to the postseason. They can't even get to 500. But Saturday's season finale is still huge for the Fort Hays State University football team.
In this grueling 6-game district, Ness City was already 4-0 on the season. So was South Gray.
That being said, I think it brings us to a very important lesson. Never count out a Roger Barta coach team.
In 8-man Division I, the district schedule is actually 6 games, which means these two teams are already playing for their playoff lives. In fact, the idea for the building came to him while he was in town for one of those charity events.
Brian Chinchillo knows a lot about pressure, and in his job, that's a good thing.
None of the members of the Hillsborough softball team should ever suffer from triskaidekaphobia. That's the irrational fear of the number 13. Because for the Lady Trojans, 13 appears to be their lucky number.
If the Thunder Ridge football team wins a second straight state championship, they will run through an absolute juggernaut of competition to get there. And even though the track sits just a few miles from the Missouri state line, it's not called the Kansas City Speedway or even the Kansas-Missouri Speedway. It's the Kansas Speedway, and that is by design. You have to crawl before you can walk before you can run. So that would make it kind of difficult if you were, say, to be thrown in the middle of a marathon before you even took your first steps. That's pretty much what had become of the Western Plains football team. So that program decided they needed to take a step back. The last time Western Plains played a full varsity schedule, they didn't win a single game.
A lot of the kids didn't want to go out because they were scared and they didn't really know what all football was about.
So last season, the Bobcats dropped back to a JV schedule with a few varsity games sprinkled in.
It was difficult because knowing you really don't have a lot to play for at the end of the season, but it was the right thing to do. I mean, these kids have been beaten down so much lately, the last few years in all sports. And they started to get the mentality that, well, we can't win anything.
But then Western Plains won a game.
Just to see their looks on their faces when they actually won, and then they kept winning, it was great.
4 wins in all. A building block for this season.
We won our first game, which is a plus, of course.
And hopefully a cornerstone for future success.
Not only just for our sports program, but also for our school, because a lot of kids leave because our sports are so small. I mean, if we build the program back up, more kids would want to stay here, so that'd be good.
Also helping the number situation when it comes to players this season, Western Plains has entered into a cooperative agreement with Healy, which means they get players from that school as well. And the Bobcats will split their games between the two schools this year.
The people of Ellis are very proud of their high school golf team, and with good reason.
I have all my kids back from last year, and we were a regional championship team last year, so we had high expectations coming into the season.
With all that promise, there was just one little problem.
We like to say that we are probably the only school in the state that has 15 golfers if it doesn't have a golf course.
Which might actually sound like a big problem, but it's been merely a blip for the Railers. The team just went out and constructed a makeshift driving range in an empty field by the school.
The kids loved it because it was something different, and it was new targets to hit at and a new place to hit, and it's actually quite a bit longer than the driving range we had before.
It's not bad. It's probably a better driving range than we had at our course, but obviously we don't get to hit the shots you would hit on a normal course.
The Railer golf team used to play and practice here at the Ellis Country Club, but as you can see, it is closed until further notice. Due to some financial difficulties, this property is now owned by a bank. Members of the community have rallied together to try to purchase this golf course back so that everyone in here in Ellis can enjoy it. But in the meantime, the Railer golf team has had to make do the best they can.
We're fortunate to have courses in Hays and Waukeeny close enough that kids can go after practice, and my kids have been pretty dedicated that they'll go use those courses after practice.
Because this team is determined that nothing is going to slow them down.
That's the goal we did last year, and hopefully we can play well again at Belleville and take regionals as a team.
In Ellis, Heather Williams, KWCH 12 Eyewitness News.
When is a turnover the most unselfish thing a player can do for his team? When is a shot in the lane worth more than just 2 points? How is it possible that a game could feature 10 players all on the same team? This is that moment.
We talked with their coach before the game and let him know, Ty with this Down syndrome, special needs, he's going to be going to the game. If we can look to, help him out and get that basket.
Ty is Ty Schultz, quite possibly the most popular 7th grader at Grinnell Middle School. And the request head coach Ed Mentz made is one he's made of just about every team he's played this season. But he never expected to see the gesture made by Ness City's Devin Brown.
To show that kind of sportsmanship as a team and to come out and just hand him the ball and basically back away and say, here's your one shot, man. We're going to give that to you. And he came through big time.
That's right. It's kind of hard to see, but as the pass intended for Ty whizzes by his head, Devin Brown, a player for the other team, catches the ball, hands it to Ty, and just let the 7th grader have his moment.
Coach said when we were in the huddle, just give him a chance to shoot while we were there. So I let him have a shot, and he threw it up and he shot it and he made it.
And I saw him shoot it, and I was like, oh, that's got to go in. And I just saw it go in, and I yelled all the way back down the court.
Evan was not the only one yelling. So was the crowd, regardless of what sideline they were sitting on.
Their team, like I said, for 2 seasons have wanted to have him score. So that was pretty awesome.
Getting those 2 awesome points has not been as easy for Ty as you might think. After all, this is still a competition. That being said, both teams are shocked about how much attention this one small act of kindness has received.
The recognition that he gets, I don't know if there is enough. I mean, ESPN, whatever, it's all deserved.
It's really just kind of a surprise on that, because to me it's something that I just expect the kids to do. I expect that to happen on the court and off the court.
It's not going to your head, is it?
That's okay, Ty. No one would blame you if it did. In Grinnell, Heather Williams, KWCH 12, Eyewitness Sports.
From Eyewitness Sports, this is your Catch It Kansas 2-minute drill.
On location tonight for a little Catch It Kansas Thursday bonus action. Tonight, the final night of the football season for the 8-man teams, as well as the Class 3A teams. Here in Phillipsburg, the Panthers, 7-1 on the season, hosting their rivals from Norton, who are 6-2, and yet one of these teams is going to miss the playoffs. Norton gets on the board first. Tanner Furbush rumbles for the 6-yard score. It's 7-0 Jays. They would add to their lead when Jacob Brooks breaks free for an 84-yard touchdown run. Norton took a 14-0 lead into the half. It was 20-0 when Peaburg would finally get on the board. Sean Newland would go 49 yards to pay dirt, but it would not be nearly enough as Norton takes down their rivals 20-7.
Kids wanted this game so bad. This is a big rivalry for us, and they wanted to be in the playoffs, and they knew if they won the game, they were in the playoffs, and that was enough motivation for these guys.
Friday night is a light schedule on the gridiron, but there are 2 big ones. Hayes versus Salina Central. The winner is in the playoffs, the loser done for the season. And Ellis at Oakley. The Railers need to win to keep their postseason hopes alive. This is actually a busy week for high school sports. In addition to 2 days of big-time football, there's also regional soccer and state volleyball, along with state cross-country. 8 local girls teams and 9 local boys teams, along with a handful of individual qualifiers, will be looking to bring home some hardware, including the Victoria boys, who have set their sights high.
We've had a goal to try to get a trophy this weekend. There's about 7 teams who are really close. And we're going to have to run very, very well, and we'll just see what happens.
To keep up with the latest information from this weekend's cross-country and volleyball tournaments, as well as scores from Thursday night football and regional soccer, just head to your source for high school sports, CatchItKansas.com. And if you have a story idea you'd like to see here in the 2-minute drill, I want to hear from you. Here's how you can reach me.